Fantastic. So, welcome to our live interview with Mr. Colin Crooks.
Yeah, I'm excited.
CEO of Treeshepherd,
Yes.
social enterprise. So, welcome to our live interview. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, guys.
So, we're going to find out more about the man himself, Mr. Colin Crooks.
Yeah.
And just hear about his story. I always think it's great to find out about stories.
Mm-hmm.
And in this project that I'm doing in terms of leading positive change, I think you're a great sort of candidate to showcase what it means to lead positive change.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lovely. So I'm going to kind of start straight away and ask you some questions.
Dive in.
So tell me about your story in leading positive change. I mean, what sort of gave you the ammunition to decide to do something so fantastic?
Well, I think that for me, the big thing that I wanted originally to do was to protect the environment. So I'm really anxious about what's going on regarding the environment. I think there's too much pollution, too much waste, too much consumerism. And so my first business was about paper recycling. So I set up something in Brixton, recycling office paper. And I was one of the first people to do that in 1989 and built up quite a decent little social enterprise. And what became obvious as I started to recruit people locally in Brixton, at the time when there was a really quite serious recession, was that unemployment, was the issue of unemployment, which I, having never really been unemployed, hadn't actually experienced or really understood how deep and how severe it can get. And so, just as an example, the thing that really got me started was I put an advert out in the job centre, Brixton Job Centre, and for a driver, it would have been minimum wage type work. Not much better than that. Dirty and heavy, hard work. And I put the phone down, I thought, oh, well, I wonder how many people will get and what happened. And about half an hour later, one of the guys that was working for me ran upstairs into the office and said, "Boss, what on earth has happened? Why are all these people here?"
Wow.
And we had 80 people that turned up from the job centre in response to that, but within about 30, 35 minutes.
That's incredible.
And they were desperate. And it was such a powerful insight into what unemployment does to people, how it crushes them. I just couldn't believe it. Anyway, every time I put the advert out, I got exactly the same response. So I just started to get really interested in it. And I ran, what was really amazing, yes, there's a huge problem out there, but by simply saying yes to somebody, you can start tomorrow, I saw massive change. I saw people just burst into song in front of me. I saw people start doing a dance, and the loyalty that I got from people who I gave a chance to is one of the most rewarding things I've ever experienced. So that got me started, and I've run several social enterprises since, mainly around recycling and stuff, but always about employing people. So the inspiration of helping people get out of a hole, if you like, get out of a situation where they can't get a job is just, well, it's just so rewarding, so fabulous.
Wow. So there was something sort of internally that happened where you decided that you want to really make a difference?
Yeah, I think I always wanted to. I wasn't sure what the difference was. I thought it would be something that was quite impersonal, really about recycling things. And then when I realised actually that I had the ability and I enjoyed helping other people. I quite enjoy training people and employing people. And it wasn't a problem for me to give them a second chance if they were a bit late or they didn't quite do the job the first time round. I just thought it was quite normal to give them a second chance and maybe give them a bit more instruction and guidance. It turns out that actually a lot of companies don't do that.
Yeah.
And if you don't turn up on the second day or something on time, often people are let go or sacked. Let's be straight about it. So, but actually, just giving people that chance, and some of the people we employed, well, they were a couple of guys were alcoholics, not drivers, some of them had, but. Yeah, so they had serious problems. I probably wouldn't have got a job at another interview. But within a few weeks of me giving somebody a job, typically I can't say it's very easy. It's quite tough if they've got real problems like some of the people we've worked with or have just recovered from drugs, or our alcoholics have anger management problems, have experienced homelessness, and very often people who've been homeless, there's a reason for it. Obviously, there's always a reason for it, and that reason is often some sort of mental illness, some sort of psychological breakdown. So when you employ those people, you get all of that stuff as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the first few weeks when you're employing somebody, it's very challenging. I'm not deny that. But if you get them through that period, the rewards that come back to you in terms of, it's just unbelievable when you see people smiling at work and their confidence just growing and their shoulders are up. You just think, wow, that person has literally changed in front of me in the last few weeks. It's just fantastic. So I've got quite a bit of a junkie for it. I'm a bit hooked on it. I love it.
Well, that's a good addiction. That sounds like it.
There's worse ones out there.
Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of, I guess, how you started initially, and now you're obviously you've got Treeshepherd as well. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, yeah, Treeshepherd came around from I've run several businesses, and I've started them all from scratch with 100, 200 quid, and growing them into fairly significant businesses over time. And when I've employed some of these people that I was telling you about, a lot of them have said the thing that they dream of is starting their own little business.
Yeah.
And when I reflected on that, I thought, actually, perhaps we could help a lot more people than I ordinarily could. So if I start a small business, I'll employ a small number of people, 5 people, 10 people, or something like that. If I did something, took a step back and supported people start their own business, could I actually help a lot more people than the 5 or 10 I might employ? And that's actually what Treeshepherd's about. So we've now supported 600 odd people through the training program, and 250 of them have started a business. So I think we've created a lot more job opportunities and supported a lot more people doing it through the Treeshepherd route than I was normally able to do by employing them directly in a more conventional sort of business route.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the idea. I wanted to see if I could scale up the difference.
Yeah.
And I was writing a book, and I thought, actually, I've got to come up with. I'm ranting about the issue of unemployment.
Yeah.
If I'm going to, the obvious question is, so what would you do for it if you were the Prime Minister? And so I started to write some solutions into the book about what I would do differently, and part of what I would do differently is to support people and support an economy that supports small businesses. And that means that more people could get involved in the economy rather than be excluded by these large organisations that kind of dominate and destroy jobs effectively. So that was the philosophy behind Treeshepherd. Just to help as many people as possible to get started.
Fantastic.
And it is actually such a lot of fun because so many amazing people will come into us every day.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the great thing.
Brilliant. So that sort of came out, that idea of creating jobs and allowing people to create their own jobs, so just kind of duplicating what you've been doing essentially.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of research, and I started to look at the data, and an awful lot of the people who are a long way from work say they're a long way from work because they're looking after children or elderly relatives or ill relatives, or they are ill.
Yeah.
When you actually stop to think about that, that means that if you've got to race back to look after the kids or pick them up from school, or you've got to race back to give granddaddy's meds, or you're not actually able to work more than 3 hours a day because you've got osteoarthritis or something, you're feeling a bit, you get tired quite quickly. Actually, that means that you can't travel very far from work.
Yeah.
From home.
From home, yeah.
So if you have to take 2 buses to get to the job that you possibly could do, but actually then you can't get home in time to do all those things, you can't actually get that job. And most of the people in those circumstances live in relatively poor areas where there are very few businesses going on. So they're trapped, not necessarily by their ill health, but by the fact that there's nothing local.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, why don't we help them create a business locally? And they would be the local employer. And that's the philosophy. So we're trying to create a local economy where ordinary people can create a business that would employ somebody else who lives locally.
Yeah.
So that was the route where we thought there's not enough local businesses in those areas. Let's go and create some. And I know these people have the idea, but so the two come together.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think what I love about what you said is that you started several businesses on £100 to £200.
That's all.
So that's evidence that you can start with almost anything. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I actually think that the one time I did have a bit more money than that, because it was a thing that was grant funded, we actually probably wasted a huge amount of it because we didn't really know what we wanted. We thought we did. We went off and bought this equipment, and then weeks later we hadn't used it.
Right.
When you do it the hard way, which looks like it's the hard way, but actually I think in retrospect it's actually much easier, because you only buy the thing that you absolutely need.
Yeah.
And you know you need it, because you've actually improvised up until the time you get this thing. So you can see this all the time. People say, well, one guy that we started with, he got some money, he wanted to do cooking on a street market. So he said, I know what I need. I need this bain-marie, and I need this burner, and I need this storage thing. After 3 weeks, he realised it was wrong stuff.
Oh my gosh,
so he spent hundreds of pounds buying new. And I said, don't buy new, buy second hand. Or actually, don't buy even anything, just borrow.
Yes.
And, glad, if you like, legally. But it's so easy to waste money. So I say start with a small amount. Even if you've got the money in the bank, don't spend it.
Yeah.
Until you really know that's what you need.
Just keep testing and
keep testing. And that's what you do. When you've got no money, you have to keep testing. And when you find the bit that people like, I'll go down, you invest there. And that's what I've always done.
Excellent.
And it just works. It just works better than blowing your money.
Yeah. So obviously you started Treeshepherd. You started several businesses, but Treeshepherd, is one that you're sort of currently kind of working on.
I am a monogamous businessman. I don't have more than one business at a time.
Okay, great. So I mean, today I want to sort of speak a bit about growth, because that's one of the hard things. You sort of start a business or you have a social enterprise or a project, and you sort of think, okay, well, I've got to this point now and I feel like I want to grow.
Yes.
And it's very scary to grow. Yeah. So what is it that made you decide in terms of Treeshepherd that this is now the right time to grow this?
Well, I think with a social enterprise, I've said to many other social entrepreneurs, I think if you've got something that supports and helps people, you're almost duty bound to stretch it, grow it. I mean, why would you keep it to yourself or keep it to this locality? If it works and it's good, you should try to expand it. I don't really. I mean, lots of people don't want to for lots of different reasons, but I think if you can, you should.
Yeah.
So we think we've got an answer. I don't think that the people in this area are any more entrepreneurial than people next door or in another city or town. So we should take the idea. So the first thing is, I think we should just do it. Second thing is actually quite exciting. It's a lot of fun, and but in our and a third thing actually, we want to create a dynamic local economy. You have to keep it growing.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. You've got to keep growing it, because some businesses will fail, some won't get quite as big as you want them to. So if you want to create a vibrant local economy that's going to make a difference to lots of people in the area, you've just got to keep it growing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's fun. I enjoy it. New challenges. The challenges of growth are different to the challenges of startup. Employing new people to help us run the business. And it becomes just a more sophisticated operation, which is just more exciting. It's a different challenge, but it's as an exciting challenge as starting it up from scratch.
Yeah, because it's newness, isn't it? So it keeps the momentum going.
Yeah, and every day is new, because we're not always in the startup phase. We're in this growth bit, which involves other challenges like getting investment from the bank, expanding the office, recruiting staff, systemizing things. So there's always a new challenge around the corner, and that's what I like about growth, because you can't stay still and sort of get set in your ways. You've got to keep thinking about how do you deal with the next new challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's about, what you mentioned is about having an obligation, which I think is a really great way of looking at it, because a lot of people have businesses or things and they kind of internalise it and think about, what they're going to do and that sort of thing. But actually realising there's a need for this, and almost like we have to fulfil this need because it's out there and people have to have this.
Yes.
Is a really great way of looking at it.
Yeah. But when we think about that's what Amazon do, or Microsoft, they've just said there's loads of people want this. We've tried to make sure that loads of people want it, so we're just going to expand as fast as we can.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't a social entrepreneur do exactly the same thing? Loads of people want this, it works, get out there.
Yeah.
As fast as you can. I mean, I'd love to have some money like Microsoft have got now.
Yeah,
wouldn't
we all?
Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? But,
yeah.
No, but yeah, I think it's... So in terms of... and of course that is the great thing about that challenge is that every growth cycle for every different type of business requires a different preparation.
Yeah.
So you have to really think hard about what it is that you are growing.
And
who you're growing with. And that's actually not as obvious as it looks. You have to really think that through.
Yeah. And I guess that leads on to my next question, which is really what are some of the challenges that you've had to overcome in this kind of growth stage, which I know you're still kind of going through, aren't you?
Yeah. And we will hopefully be going through it for much longer because I don't think there's any limit to it to an extent. I think the thing I've really learned, and I've done it wrong a few times, is you've got this, and this is quite hard to imagine when you've only just if you're running your first business. But the nature of businesses change as they get bigger, so you get more systematic, you have to get more organised because you've got to. When you first start, you do everything yourself, and you know how to do it, and you keep it in the head.
Yeah.
As soon as you employ someone, you've got to write it down. As soon as you employ several people, you've got to write down what you do plus those policies. So recruitment policies, health and safety policies. As soon as you employ more than 10 people, it suddenly gets even more complicated again, because now you have to have bigger facilities and you have to have, everything seems to change. So at different hurdles of the business, say from £50,000 turnover, or say £10,000 turnover to 50 to 100, the business changes. And the trick, and this is actually quite a hard trick to pull when you haven't got a huge amount of money, is to, if you're growing and you want to get to the next level up, say 50,000 or say £100,000 turnover or whatever it is, you need the management structure that new level of business is going to need.
Okay.
Before you get there.
Sure.
Because I've got there, and I've grown businesses up to this next level, whether it's $500,000 or $1 million, whatever the number is, and found that the whole thing is creaking at the seams. Things aren't working, people don't know what they're doing, because I haven't put in the systems and the personnel that are needed to run a business like that either.
Right.
And I've then recruited somebody, and they play catch up for 6 months, trying to put things into place that should have been there 6 or 9 months ago.
Yeah.
And it's really hard.
Yeah.
And everything stops growing because you can't do anything because you're absorbing all of the previous expansion, and then you start again. So in Treeshepherd, we bit the bullet, and we've invested in employing a development manager, who's there specifically to enable us to grow to the next level.
Fantastic.
Before we get there.
So it's kind of preempting a bit of what you're expecting to be, but you can never quite know.
Never quite.
But you've kind of put enough measures in place that you think will support you to get to that next level. Yeah,
because you need that. The type of skills you need at that level are different. You see companies become more sophisticated in the way they manage operations, and you've got to delegate through multiple layers. So when your first employee, you have direct contact with that person. You can tell them what to do, and you can write down a few notes, and you can make sure they know what they're doing. That's quite straightforward.
Yeah.
And then quite quickly, that employee has an assistant. So they don't talk to you directly, they're talking to your first employee.
Yeah.
So now you're trying to manage through two people.
Yeah.
And as companies get bigger, you get more lines of management. So the business, for the boss to be able to know what on earth is happening when there's 2 or 3 levels of management between him and the people on the shop floor, if you like, you need very sophisticated systems.
Yeah.
So the business gets more and more sophisticated as it grows.
Yeah.
And if you get to the growth bit without the systems in place, you are very seriously in danger of falling flat on your face. because the business will just break.
I was going to say it can either make you or break you.
Yeah, it is, and it's exactly.
So preparation, I guess, is key,
and a little bit of investment, because the person you need who's quite systematic is not as entrepreneurial as you are when you first start a business. So you don't want another entrepreneur. Like you want someone who's actually almost the opposite to you, which can be a bit challenging because they don't think like you.
Yeah.
And when they say, Colin, we need to systemize this, we need to write it all down. You can't really have time to do all that. And actually, you need to make time.
Yeah.
And you need someone there who's going to help you make that time and write it all down so that other people know what to do.
Yeah, sure.
Because, I'm off to the next sales.
Yes.
And I can't. I'm sitting there on this, happened to me several times in my previous business. Why aren't we doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, because I actually don't want to.
Yeah.
Because it's all in my head.
Definitely. So it's almost, and that's one thing that I've seen that lots of businesses face is they are the key. So the director knows every single thing, and what they do is fantastic.
Yes.
But but as soon as other people get involved, they're like, well, you should know how to do this because it's so clear to them.
So clear.
But actually, it's about creating what's in your head in a systematic format so that other people can duplicate it. Yeah. So it's almost like creating extra arms as an octopus.
You've got exactly, it's exactly that. And then, but those people have got to be able to create extra arms.
Yeah.
So this system has to be able to go through several layers and be communicated to other people. Already, we're a very small organisation, like 3, 4, 5 or 6 people, and we've got 5 tutors, and you're one of them. So how do I talk to the learning manager to make sure the learning manager gives you proper instructions how to train the next module?
Yeah.
That's, there's already 2 or 3 different people to talk to, and then there's a change in the admin system to enrol for the business, which is a different person that does that, but you still need to know what that means when you take the class. So, and it can't be me, because I don't, and at a certain point, I don't even know what the admin system is.
But then do you find that good?
Oh, love it. I absolutely love it. When someone comes in and says, Colin, we just designed this, and I go, oh, how good is that? I really like it. I really like it when that happens.
Things happening behind the scenes, because actually one of the things about growth as well in business is actually letting go.
You have to let go.
Yeah.
You have to let go. If you want to get into all that micro detail, you will lose burn out.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Thank you so much for that. So you've had an amazing journey. You mentioned some of the great things that have happened. Have you got any kind of key points that you'd like to share with us about some of the real highlights of your journey so far?
Well, I suppose the probably the big single thing is that nobody else shares your passion. No matter, you get really enthusiastic employees, and but they don't. It's not. It's yours.
Yeah.
It's your passion, and no one else quite gets it. So the sense of disappointment when people aren't quite doing it with the determination that you need to kind of park that, because that's an unreasonable expectation. So, and your clients don't get it. So I find myself, you have to take a deep breath and take them through 101 again, the very basics. Start them right at the beginning of the journey, because they haven't travelled the same journey that I've travelled, so I've got to bring it right back and take it through. And that can be a bit wearing after a while, but you've got to do it, and you've got to kind of... and some people are really, and especially in the social enterprise field, the thing that you struggle with the most is the sheer cynicism. The reason I'm a social entrepreneur is I'm not a cynical person, but of course as soon as you go out to try and get investment, or to get funding, or to get contracts, you meet some people who are quite sceptical, quite cynical, and that's always quite hard to overcome when you're coming at it with a positive point of view. You think that no, people aren't like that, and they don't agree with you. Yeah.
So I guess one of the things that maybe are difficult to deal with. And what do you do to combat that?
Breathing. Breathing's the secret.
Breathing is good.
Breathing is good, yeah. Don't hold your breath, just take a deep breath. Yeah. And you have to take people where they are, not where you want them to be. And you have to keep telling yourself that. So I do a lot of talking to myself.
Yes.
And a lot of a lot of, metaphorically deep breathing, sort of trying to count to 10 and go, okay, so we've got to start right there. And you have to come up with another way of selling the idea. So if people are with you, then you can sell it one way, but if people disagree with you, you've got to kind of come out and say, okay, well, perhaps there's another way of representing this.
Yeah.
Because most people do get it in the end, but you've got to reword it, restructure it.
Yeah, sort of framing it away. In one of the sessions that I teach, and I always say, okay, if you've got a wall in front of you, and you can't go around, what else can you do? Yeah. And it's like, okay, you can fly over, you've got to go under, you've got to knock it down, you've got to do this, got to do that.
One way or another,
so,
you've got to get out of it.
Fall
through it or whatever. But that's right, there isn't a standard way. And that can be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
And then I suppose, but I actually prefer it. If someone says I don't agree, I like that. At least I know what they're saying.
Yeah.
I hate the dead hand.
Okay.
The people that just think, oh, yes, okay. And have no intention of doing anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're not going to tell you that. They just don't do anything.
That's difficult.
And then how do you get past that? Is really difficult. Because you don't know what they're thinking. They're not telling you. Yeah. So that sort of is the hardest, certainly in terms of selling.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, what's been great, like, if you could pinpoint a few magical moments?
Magical moments.
Yeah.
God, there's thousands. I'm going to pinpoint them.
Okay, a few.
A story I often tell, because I just love it. I was at one of these driver's jobs in the paper cycle. So this is a long time ago, but it's just a fantastic memory. And I put a job out for a driver, and this was... guy turned up, first person to turn up at the job centre, and I knew the minute he walked in he was ex-offender. Okay. I've employed quite a few people to come out with, they're grey, because they haven't seen the sun, basically. And I thought, I wonder if you've not long been in prison. Turned out he'd actually just been released in the last hour.
Wow.
He'd walked down from Brixton Hill, from Brixton Prison, down the hill, straight to the job centre, saw the job, came to me.
Okay.
And he was the first person to walk in, and he was very open. He said, I've just come out the nick. And I said, well, okay, what did you do? He said, well, I was into theft. And I said, well, there's nothing to steal here apart from the van, but I don't think we can do that, so, because we know where you live. We don't know where you live, but we will find you, don't worry about that. So you can start tomorrow. And so he started with me. He said he had a HGV-1, which is the heavy goods, so driving big articulated lorries, and we didn't drive those things. And if you drive an articulated lorry, you get quite a lot more money. And he said, ultimately, told me right at the beginning, that's the sort of job he wanted, because that would be more money. Anyway, he worked for me for 6 months, I think, 5 or 6 months. He was really good. And then one day he walked in and said, sorry, boss, I've got this job driving articulated lorries, and I'm going to go. I said, well, good luck to you. He went. So he went. And then about 3 months later, I'm walking down Cold Harbour Lane, and this big 40-foot lorry, articulated lorry, Puritan made, the raisin company?
Yeah.
Stops dead in Cold Harbour Lane, bouncing on its springs like this, huge truck.
Yeah.
And everybody was screeching to a halt. Everyone thought, what's going on? What's this one? Jumped out of the cab, ran across the road, and said, Colin, shall I my rig? And I said, that's a great rig. It's a really nice rig. He said, without you, I could never have got that job.
Wow.
I just shook my hand. It's got to go. Raced off back in the rig, thumbs up and out. Well, you can't buy that, can you?
No.
You can't buy it. So, and I've had lots of people who all I've done, this is the thing, all I have done is given a good person a job.
But it's not all you've done.
Amazing. I don't think it's that amazing. But some people do seem to think it's quite incredible. The guy came in, he can drive, he got a job, and he rewarded me hugely with 6 months of very reliable employment.
Yeah.
And a story I've told.
Yeah.
But there's loads and loads of people that have done that. I've had guys who have, one guy took on well, it's a long story, but a guy who's effectively trying to steal from our warehouse. And he was 3 times the size of this chap who worked for me. And this guy just stopped him from doing it, and he could have got pulverised. But he said, no, I'm with you, boy. It's not going to happen. Just amazing response and loyalty from some really extraordinary people. And then, you get people and there's Treeshepherd. So one lady came to see me for a regular appointment, and she said, "Do you know where I'm going now?" I said, "No, where are you going now?" She said, "I'm signing off. I'm off benefit as of half an hour."
Wow.
And
Wow. That's changing lives, really.
yeah, it's just changing lives. And she said, "I'm out now."
Wow.
So thank you. And I see her every now and again, but she's too busy running her business.
She's busy now.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
That is hysterical. I love that. And but I love the way she just got it. She said, I'm going to sign off.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's great.
So, it's full of reward. That's the stuff. You sort of thrive on it. I do. That's great.
Absolutely. Those stories sound amazing. And I think what sort of stands out for me is, I guess, the opportunities that you're allowing people to have that may have never had those opportunities. And have maybe never had somebody believe in them, because
that is it.
Yeah.
That is all it is. It's I think it's really important. Our motto here at Treeshepherd is trust and patience.
Yeah.
So we believe. I trust people. Unless they let me down, I think they're going to do the right thing. And until I've got really good evidence that they're not, I believe them. So we trust them and we will support them over time. And that's the combination that works. But actually, the system is very untrusting and impatient, and a lot of employers are untrusting and impatient. And so people who are in that situation get very short shrift from the system and from the boss, and it's a very oppressive place, especially if you're struggling with illness yourself and you're trying to overcome things. But patience goes a hell of a long way.
It does, actually.
And I'm actually not a patient person. Ask my children. I'm not.
Are you sure?
I'm not the most patient person. It's a learned behaviour.
Yeah.
So I because I know it works. Sometimes I'm talking to people. I'm sure we've talked about this several times before, but it is absolutely a waste of time and useless to get impatient.
Yeah. What does it actually achieve?
It doesn't actually achieve anything. So I just park it.
Yeah.
But I've learned.
I was going to say, from sort of speaking with you, a lot of what you've, I guess, done is not, you're not necessarily different from the rest of us, so to say. But you've achieved amazing things. What I mean by that, in terms of putting it in context, is that you've learned how to kind of deal with yourself in a sense of like, okay, right, well, this is what's happening, but actually let me take a moment and step back and think about it, and what do I want to achieve from this, and actually is this going to be of benefit to me, or how can I so a lot of kind of self-talk that support, that allows you to be the best that you could possibly be, not just for yourself but actually to support others, which I think is quite incredible.
I suppose so. I mean, it just works. I mean, I think I don't really know. It must be in my personality. I don't think you change yourself that much. But I did, when I first started the business, I was very impatient. I wanted everything to happen now. Why isn't it? And then, of course, and that was very difficult for the first people who worked with me. And then you start to learn that actually it can't be now. It can't be like that. And then gradually I've evolved this way of working. And it has its downsides, because sometimes we're not getting the now when we could have it, because I'm being too patient. So, but broadly speaking, it works, for me anyway, it works better than trying to be pushy all the time and getting frustrated. It serves no purpose, and actually doesn't help the other person on the other end either.
Yeah.
Very rarely does that help. So I've just kind of learned that why waste the energy.
Yeah, and that's interesting, because most, I guess, quote unquote entrepreneurs, they always think it's like, right, got to get this done now, got to do this, there's limited time, got to stay up for, most of the day and do this and so forth. But actually you're sort of saying you don't do things that way, but you're still achieving great things.
Well, I'll work till quite late, and I will drive myself to the limit to my limit, to whatever I think is right. But equally, I think you've got to bring this team with you, and you've got to be able to deliver the thing that you're trying to get, and that can't always be done in the timeline that you think it can be. you've got to take on other people's points of view to make sure that you can do what you said you want to tell your client you can do. And I think that very fast-moving entrepreneurial thing, which I do as well, right at the beginning, you have to temper that if you want this journey to last. This is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to build this thing. So if you look at some of these companies like Amazon, they barely make a profit.
Yeah.
Or they've only just started to make a profit after years and years
of
developing and building that business.
Yeah.
So you can't rush this stuff. You've got to plan, you've got to take time at it. You've got to rush at the beginning because there's all this idea and you've got to get things to happen.
Yeah.
But as soon as you start to get a bit of size, you've got to be quite, I think, a little bit more considered. Still have that sense of importance and a bit of urgency, but you can't rush. There's a difference.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure this mad gung-ho cavalier thing is. Well, I'm not sure that many people do it actually, but I'm not sure it works terribly well either.
Yes, I think it's sometimes a bit more of a perception rather than the reality.
Yeah, because behind the scenes there's actually a lot of stuff for it, and this is an image that I've trained.
Yeah. Great, thank you for sharing that. So, obviously you're here having this interview as part of the Lead Positive Change program.
Lead Positive Change, yes, that's right.
That I'm campaigning at the moment. So what are your thoughts around the whole kind of vision of supporting leaders for positive change?
I think it's great. And what I like about your approach is you can find leaders anywhere. I don't think they're born. I don't think they're special privileges. I think that there are leaders literally everywhere. Everyone that's watching this is a potential leader.
Yeah.
Whether that's in their community, whether that's in their estate, whether that's in their business. You can lead from inside a business. So you can lead from inside a tennis association.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the chair or the vice chair to lead. You can take responsibility, you can make things happen, and that's what I love what you're doing. It's quite a democratic approach. Leadership's just, I think anyone can do it.
Yeah.
Within, for the thing that they want to lead.
Absolutely, that's it. And I love the fact that you mentioned some of those things. So it's about what are your passions? What are the things that you want to achieve? And actually, you can do it.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
you can. Very few people are actually going to, if you come at it with a bit of energy and a bit of integrity, not many people are going to try and stop you. It's a good thing to do, and you come at it with a reasonable amount of organisation and a bit of energy. There might be some dead hands that try and frustrate you, but you will get past them. You will lead and you'll make things change. Definitely.
Are you hearing that? You will get past them.
You will get past them.
Bit of motivation.
Absolutely.
Speaking there for you.
Yeah, you just have to believe that, and you will get through.
That's really encouraging. And so my last question, time has gone so quickly, but my last question to you is, are there any tips that you would give for anybody that's listening in to help them to support leaders for positive change? So what's some of the tips that you would give?
I think several, I suppose, really. One is to have a really quite clear idea about what you want to do. Do your research and be patient, but determined to be patient. Don't just sit there waiting by the phone. Be phoning up, be chasing people, be connecting with other people, be talking. The thing I found that gets things done is by networking with lots and lots of people within the same organisation. So if you're meeting a block, so there's somebody in an organisation that is stopping you or seems to be stopping you do something, go and talk to other people in the organisation. Not trying to go behind their back, but just try to get your idea out there with other people. And then what you find, actually, the person that's blocking you isn't trying to stop you because they hate your idea. They're actually stopping you because they're not confident it will work, or they might look silly if they say yes to your idea. You start talking to loads of other people around them, and then they think, oh, it's not that silly then. I can let this thing happen. And so I think it's determination, it's networking, it's being clear, and it's about knowing what you're talking about. So that research phase is really important. So just keep at it. keep at it. Know what you're talking about. Keep doing it.
Fantastic.
That's good
great.
motto, isn't it?
It is. It really is. And and even in some of the courses that I'll be doing as well, it's all about, I guess, looking internally and deciding that you actually want to make a change, and then actually you have to do something. In order for that to happen. So, you spoke about networking and speaking to different people. So it's being convinced about what it is that you want to achieve and then going after it, with everything.
I think that was the interesting thing you said there, because as soon as you internalise it to yourself, but the moment you say it to somebody else, your partner, your neighbour, somebody in some event you go to, you are obligating yourself to carry it through because you've shared it with another human being. And the more times you do that as part of your network, the more you become, more certain you're going to do it, because you've said to so many people you're going to do it. You kind of do a contract with yourself to do that with other people, but actually you get reinforced to do it.
Definitely.
People think, oh, good idea, go for it. So you get that reinforcement to push on.
Yeah, totally. And even for myself, it's a bit, this has been a new project, and so I've been kind of out there speaking to people, and the support's been amazing.
Yes.
And so it's really encouraged me to keep doing it.
If you keep it to yourself, you won't get any encouragement. So
exactly.
You never go anywhere.
Totally. Lovely. So thank you
My pleasure. What fun. I've never done one of these before, so it's been great. New experience.
Thank you so much for tuning in. And
yes, indeed. Yeah, any thoughts, comments, criticisms? I'd be very interested to hear them. Thank you.
Lovely. Over and out.
Thanks, Georgian.
Thank you.
Hey, is that time already, man? Oh, God. Yeah, we're out. We've just literally put that interview in the pen. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I've seen roses. I've normally been skiving off before you come in.
Talk about timing. That was so perfect.